Brothers Keepers Podcast, episode 1.
Yeah.
So we decided to do this thing because there's a lot of things that we talk about in our personal time. You know, our one-on-one brother sessions. This is my brother. You know, we did this whole life thing together since we was young.
That's a fact.
And, you know, becoming men, becoming more mature and just growing. You know, it's a lot of things that we want to touch on. It's a lot of things that we notice in the world around us that we just want to be active participants and representing what we feel are positive qualities. You know, we believers, we believe in Jesus Christ. Like, we're Christians, we're family men. You know, we have a certain set of morals and values, and we just want to express that, and in doing so, encourage other people to be a part of that. And we're gonna do that in a number of ways. But yeah, so that's where we at with it.
That's where we at with it, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man.
Real rap. And I'm happy to share different stories that we got that we talk about privately now in the open. Fact. You know, where because I'm sure it's people out. No, we ain't dry snitching. No, we ain't doing that. Anything with snitching, we ain't doing that. But anyway, though, no. But putting the things out in the air, you know, because there's other people out here that can relate to us, and they pretty much feel the same way.
100. At
the same time, you know, giving people different perspectives. You know, making them look at life and a bunch of things a little bit differently. Yeah, so should be good, man. What we got on topic to start off for the day?
So the first episode of the Brothers Keepers podcast is titled Vanishing Culture.
That's hard.
That's hard.
Vanishing Culture.
All right. If we do a book, that's the first book.
No, definitely.
Vanishing Culture.
Okay.
All right. So just to give a quick explanation, vanishing culture is a phenomenon that I've noticed occurring throughout various levels of society and just the way that we live. And, you know, when I say vanishing, I don't really mean like completely gone. I just mean like vanishing, like slowly slipping away, deteriorating. And, you know, it's elements to our life that are exclusive to different aspects of American culture, right? American culture, Black culture, you know, music. You know, there's elements that's just exclusive to those, you might call them subcultures, right?
Right.
And I've noticed that in a lot of different ways, they've begun to conform or become uniform in a lot of ways. So that's what we're going to talk about, the different ways that affects us. Culture has an effect on all of us. It's one of the biggest impacts on our thoughts and behaviors. You know, it influences our language, sense of humor, you know, even how we relate to one another. So, you know, we just want to talk about the implications of that, vanishing culture, what it looks like, our experiences of that. Right. And, you know, just what we recognize as disappearing or vanishing cultures, you know, pros and cons. So I'm going to pass it to you, bro, because,
well, we can,
like I said, I'm going to say it like this. We've talked about it before, briefly, but I want to hear from your perspective, right? Or your opinion. You know, what is that? What do you hear when you hear something like vanishing culture?
I feel like everything is shifted in terms of, morals. I hear vanishing culture is morals, beliefs. I mean, but it's an overall statement, though, you know, within itself, because at the end of the day, you know, everything changed. I mean, if you want to be minuscule about it, as far as the way we eat. You know what I mean? We don't even eat the same. You know,
we all vegans now.
You know, everybody's
on meat.
Don't eat the meat. You know, the meat's been bad forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so have the vegetables. Yeah. You know what I mean? How many people getting sick from what's supposed to be vegetables?
E. coli. I lost it when I seen Dunkin' Donuts with the Beyond Meat sausage burger.
No, so
sausage.
You didn't
McMuffin.
Just see Burger King.
Yeah, they got the
Burger
fake
King.
Whopper.
Hold on, no. Somebody is suing them. They got a lawsuit because they're supposedly cooking what's not supposed to be meat on the same grill that they cooking the burgers.
So they ain't really vegan.
So they not really vegan. They kind of mixing it up. You know, so them people getting sick.
Yeah, they use the same grease to fry the vegan stuff versus the non-vegan stuff.
Yeah, that's out of pocket.
Yeah, but
that's only because at the end of the day, I mean, for a person like me, I feel like it's all the same. You know what I mean? We live and we die. So you know how help your expiration date a little longer, I'm not knocking it. But at the end of the day, the reason why I feel like it's wrong is because it's just misleading. You know what I mean? If I got a piece of meat on what's not supposed to be meat, then I messed up. You know, I'm going.
No, that's a fact. And then, you know, one of the things about that whole kick is you know, and I mentioned this to somebody else I was talking to, is just that, you know, it's great to be healthy and eat the things that you want to eat. But it's like when you have a meal, it's not necessarily about extending your life all the time.
Right.
Like, don't nobody eat ice cream because it's going to make them healthier.
Right.
Right. It's a fellowship aspect to eating, right? Anytime you have a birthday party, a family reunion, and of course there's a such thing as overindulgence, right? Gluttony, you might call it.
Right.
But you know, eating is not just about, you're not a robot. Like, it's not just about filling your body and making you like the strongest, most optimal version. That's a part of it.
Milk makes you strong.
I mean,
that's what they told us.
You heard the largest the largest milk company just went bankrupt. I heard they filed for bankruptcy. That's what I heard. That's word on the street because everybody drinking almond milk.
Right.
Shout out to almond milk.
Shout out to almond milk. My kids drink almond milk.
It's good.
As a matter of fact, your niece, she's never had regular milk
ever in her life.
Never. She's never had it.
How many people can say that?
Right. I mean, I haven't had regular milk in probably like a little over 10 years though.
We was raised on cereal, bro. We had a lot of it, so we got to flush it out. You know what I mean? But
yeah, things like that though. That's you know, I even want to, you know, go into the food,
the legway.
The leg. I said the leg, but the segue into food. But that's just one of the many things that's, you know, that's changed. You know, like we can definitely get on, which I'm sure you would love to talk about, is the faith aspect in any religion. You know, it's definitely definitely decreased. You know, people don't care no more. You know.
Well, so one of the things that bothers me about, because I mean, our whole culture right now is you know, kind of on the consciousness woke kick. But one of the things that bothers me about people who do still have faith, so to speak, it was a vibe going around. I don't hear it as much now, but everybody was spiritual. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual.
Right.
And I mean, that's cool and all, but what I find is that it's increasingly more of this idea that all religions are the same.
Right.
It's all the same God. We all believe the same thing. It's basically just be nice to people and yada, yada, yada. And I think on some level, some of that stuff is true, right? It's like, you know, on some level, everybody loves their significant other, but it might be expressed differently in different cultures.
Correct.
Right. And when you talk about different religions and ideas behind faiths or theologies, you might call it, right, it's not all the same. You know, Christianity is very unique. Same with Buddhism, Islam. Like, it's very specific doctrines that if you pile all those up, they would contradict one another.
Right.
And that's important.
I mean, but at the end of the day, when in terms of the opinion of it all being the same, you know, that comes from justificational reasons and
vanishing culture.
You know, people just wanting to put it, I ain't gotta worry about that. You know, it's like I like the Cowboys and you like the Eagles. You know, I'm gonna stay over here with the Cowboys. You know,
but even a lot of that is being cowtail back. Or I'll say this, because I think that distinction is being muddied down in so many other areas in life. People going super hard for their teams.
Okay.
Because that's like the only acceptable way to express the human nature that is tribalism. Right. And you know, tribalism just means I like my people, you like your people. It's the reason we love our family members even more than we love a stranger, is that tribalistic instinct that just teaches you to covet and protect your own to some extent. Right. And as our society becomes more globalized, the internet has really opened up the highways to communicate to a lot of different people in a split second.
Right.
And because of that, you have a lot of assimilation going on, you know, and
so so what you would say in terms of religion under vanishing culture, it's the world has lost religion.
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Our culture has lost religion. Our culture has lost morals.
So not to get too sermony. I just made that word up.
Yeah. It's
but cool. You know,
what's today's date?
The Bible says salt and light.
November 19th. Sermony is not a word. Go ahead. The Bible says
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
The Bible says salt and light, right?
Okay.
And you know, saltiness gives that flavor, that distinction.
Right.
Like I've heard that in many sermons, but things are not all supposed to be the same, right? I was having a conversation with my cousin last night, and I was like, you know, the reason people go to Paris, right? The reason they might go to Paris is because it's something unique about Paris, right? You got the Eiffel Tower, you got the romantic, you know, the romantic stereotype about it being the city of love and all that thing. It's a distinction between Paris and Pennsylvania,
right?
Paris and Florida.
Right.
Like people might go to Paris, people might go to Florida, but it's an understanding that those things are not the same.
They're not the same.
And it was never really a big push to say that this is superior to that. People used to just appreciate the differences in things.
Right.
But like I said, this big global conglomerate of like merging everything. And I think it has a lot to do with, like I said, just, and it even ties into like political correctness, right? You don't want to offend anybody because you never know who's listening, who
Everybody's
your customers
sensitive.
are.
This is a sensitive world now.
Yeah, but what happens is we start to give up some of those distinctions and it just becomes a big hodgepodge of everybody kind of on the same type time.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like the culture, because, you know, the title is Vanishing Culture, do you feel like the culture vanished because we never knew who we are to begin with? We never knew who we were to begin with. I mean, that could be part of the problem. I mean, you're talking about time after time, years after years, decade after decade, century, whatever you want to call it. People, us humans, changing because we don't know where. Like, it's hard to stick to something that you only really stick to what you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you don't even do that.
And sometimes you don't even do that. So do you think that that could be identifying issues?
So what I'll say is this. I've always, I think, understood since I was younger that as human beings, we are susceptible to be manipulated.
Right. That's true.
By our logic, by our emotions.
Easy.
Right. You can give somebody evidence of something and convince them of it, even if it's a lie. Mm-hmm. Right. I could smack myself on the face and say, yo, this dude just hit me. And that evidence will convince somebody, whether it's true or not. So we've always been susceptible to manipulation and lies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or just ignorance even, because manipulation and lies implies maliciousness, but just ignorance, you just might not know.
We like ignorance, don't we?
I wouldn't necessarily. Well, you know, they say ignorance is bliss.
Right.
Right. Because if you ignorant, then you're not as accountable to certain things.
Accountable.
If you can.
Brothers Keep a podcast. Look, Brothers Keep.
I know it's coming. You can't even say
it. Brothers Keep a podcast where the greatest ability is accountability. That's what we need. I feel like, I mean, and we're going to keep going, but I really feel like now that you said that, bro, I feel like accountability is the greatest part of Vanishing Culture.
But that's what we would call ignorance, right? That's where ignorance has its advantage. Right. Because if I don't know better, right, I can't really be expected. I can't even hold myself accountable.
I mean, but that's different. If you don't know better. Right. If you don't,
that's ignorance, though. That's all ignorance is, you don't know. Mm-hmm. Right. But there's a thing as ignorance, and then there's willful ignorance, where it's like, I could know, but I'm choosing not to know.
Right.
Because if I find out, then that means I'm accountable to that knowledge that I have. That? It's a lot of people that do that. And what I wanted to say about that is that
so I know, but I'd rather not know.
Maybe you don't know.
Okay.
But you don't want to do your due diligence to find out because of what it might mean you have to do.
I just be feeling like people know.
Some do.
You know.
Some do. And, I say all the time, the biggest lie is if you know better, you do better.
Right.
Bold-faced lie. Bold-faced lie.
And the only reason why I say that is because, to be honest, I hate knowing. I hate knowing better.
Exactly.
I was just having a conversation on the way here.
You're not the only one.
On the way here, 3-way call. I told you about it. Like, yeah, so my guy called me. He was like, yo, yo, you always give me words of advice, whatever. We had a good conversation, and he gives me words of advice, whatever, too. He's like, and I want you to talk to my pastor. So I really wasn't even expecting on my way to this joint. And, we was just having that conversation, and I was just like, man, like, I hate knowing better.
It's not that you hate knowing.
No.
You hate the responsibility that's attached to that knowledge.
That's perfectly.
But you're not the only one. That's what we're talking about.
No, because
so you the reason the culture vanishing, bro. Get your life.
I could be part of it. No, listen. I could.
No more than anybody else. Though, exactly. Realistically,
I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with saying that I've been a part of it because earlier years, I did a lot of following. This is a piece to impress. This is how we live our life, this is what we do, and so that definitely vanishes, morally and things that, we were built on, as well. So
no, that's 100. But I think understanding that for me personally is, I was going to say was, but I'll say is a big part of my spiritual relationship. Because the way I look at it, I've always been a logical person.
Right.
And it was always presented to me that you couldn't be logical and religious. But in my own deduction, which I later found in the Bible.
Somebody told you that?
What?
That you couldn't be logical and religious?
Well, that's the attitude, right? Okay. Anytime you see a religious person, either on the media or when people talk about it, it's like they're denying science or they don't believe in evolution and all of these things which are scientific, which everybody considers supreme fact. Yeah. Right. So if you deny certain aspects of science, you consider irrational. And that's how they paint a lot of religious people. But, the Bible says in Proverbs that the fear of God, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And that was like, how do you really square that? But unless you really get to that place, you can't really understand it. But I'll say this is once you recognize that you are, this one sounds harsh, but you're a stupid person. Mm-hmm. Like you are a human.
Right.
You have no intellectual or spiritual advantage over any other human that's been born.
You're not above the above.
You're not you're dumb. Like you're gonna die one day.
Right.
We all are.
Right.
Like, I hear people say, I'm a god. I'm a god incarnate. Like, yo, somebody had to teach you how to wipe your butt, yo.
Yo, I'm gonna keep it a bean. When I hear somebody say that,
it bothers you.
No, it don't bother me a little bit. It pisses me off. You know why though? Because at the end of the day, and this is I don't base it just on religion. You know what I mean? We had these talks or whatever. So I don't really care. I would rather you just believe in something. Mm. You know what I mean? But when you're calling yourself a creator, it's the difference to be, we can do a podcast, you can maybe play the violin, I can play the saxophone, I can rap, you can sing.
We have the ability
to create no matter what we do. I just got a contract on this building. I built the Eiffel Tower building, in Paris, whatever the case may be, you create. Yeah. But to create what we do, that's a God.
Yeah, like the concept of creation in of itself. It can't be a human invention.
Okay.
It can't. Because there would have had to have been a first person, right? Even the laws of logic, emotion, like these things that we do instinctively.
Right.
Right. And I use, the bathroom jokes to be kind of funny, but just think about like if you never peed again, like every time you gotta go to the bathroom, your body is in control. Like if you don't go to the bathroom, you gonna pee yourself, bro. Like you can't do nothing about that, God. You know what I mean? Like the arrogance or the level that a person has to get to, and I don't even think it's people's fault. I think that's what the culture is teaching. Right. This overarching narrative is that everybody's the God of the universe. We all have control over this and that.
Right.
And I mean, it sounds good. It sounds like an empowering message, but it really disempowers you because when things go wrong and you fail, then what do you do when you don't feel like the God with all of this power? Because we all gonna fail.
And the thing is, I don't believe God is emotional in terms of how we are. So why would you? Like, I just, what it is? I just don't want to be. I don't want to be God. Like, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that name. I don't want that title. I don't want that reference. Because that's a lot of, you know, if I feel like I'm God, then who can my kids look up to?
Right.
If something happens to me.
Right.
You know, who are they?
Starts and ends with you. You're a human, you're gonna die.
Who are they confiding in? Are we now to a point with vanishing culture that we're believing in ourselves more than actually believing?
Right. And just to tie it in, right? Like, we wasn't raised like that.
Right.
Like, no more. And this is what I mean, like, by vanishing culture. Like, we didn't grow up like that. These ideas were not part of our culture.
No,
if you want to talk about
time.
If you want to talk about black culture, right? You want to talk about how we grew up, how most black people grow up, right? Whether it's in the South or up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
you went to church.
We don't grow up with them ideas. Where is that coming from?
You went to church.
You know what I mean?
You know, I grew up with a lot of Muslim friends that, you know, they went to, you know, and Jehovah's Witnesses went to the hall, you know, but they were conform, you know, I feel like, you know,
it was certain principles that we was raised with. Right. And it was distinct and specific to our blackness in a lot of ways.
And you didn't do this because of this.
And that was part of our culture. That was how we was raised. But now that idea is being replaced with this hyper spirituality. And it's like everybody's on that wave. Right. So you had black spirituality, or I would say Christianity or religion, the way it was expressed by black people because of their culture. So now you have this overarching spirituality that everybody's on that wave.
Check this out, though. Look how far we have advanced over time. I mean, me and you, we still young. You know what I mean? So
what you mean by advanced?
Follow me. So our parents can look at the things that we got like, man, we ain't had that. You know what I mean? My kids, you know what I mean? My kids they didn't even know what a VCR was. I think Chris said to me, like, what did he say? I think he thought it was a tool or something. Like, it was real weird. And I was like, bro,
try to put toast in it.
Like, bro, like, bro, out of all things, you would think that. But I said all that to say this. The advancement, the technology, the things that are on Earth has made us rely on having it.
Yeah,
it takes out that we don't even all we think about is what we can get now, because I do think it's consciously that everybody believes and knows that, you know, their time is coming one day, but it's not. That's why it's vanishing, because nothing sticks anymore. Everything changes.
And I say all the time, I think
artists drop a song today, album tomorrow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? MacBook today, MacBook Pro SLS tomorrow. You know,
iPhone 11, everything's a microwave.
Everything changes so fast, so we don't know how to stick to nothing. Is that what it is? Right?
No, and you know, it's no conviction, and it's too much access.
Conviction. And
excess. Right? Mm-hmm. There's too much of everything, so it devalues what you do have, right? I listen to a lot of old music, you know, just because a lot of the newer stuff I don't really vibe with from a quality standpoint, right? There's a lot of new artists that have a lot of music, but you know, if you take like for example, Lauryn Hill's album,
dope,
right? Untouchable. She could drop another album tomorrow and it'd be trash, and it's not going to touch the legacy of that album.
No, she shouldn't though.
She should. Well, I mean, if it's quality,
she should. She don't have to.
No, she don't have. But nobody.
I mean, I could hear her like on a hook or something. But go ahead. My bad.
But I just mean in sentiment, as far as the quality and the work that you used to have to put into something.
But you know, the crazy part about it is, people younger than us, when we start talking like this, they make us feel like we're old, and kind of how we felt when older people were talking. You know, when
did they shut
we were
up?
Kids. Nah,
then we ain't shutting up. What you saying, bro?
No, you're right.
Like,
you're right.
We was mad. We rolled our eyes, but back then
I didn't
we had
roll
a
my
little
eyes,
bit.
bro.
I rolled my eyes, bro.
I didn't roll my eyes.
Sucking my teeth, all that extra.
I mean, I feel you.
I'm doing it under my breath.
All right,
but I'm doing it though.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I just think, I can speak in harsh terms sometimes. So I'm just going to be real. I think this is like the dumbest generation ever. we are the dumbest. We have the least mental capacity because of the technology, because of the quote unquote advancements that we have. Like our brain power, I think, is operating at an all-time low. Like it's faster. I think we process faster, but as far as level of understanding, right? Think about how hard it is nowadays to communicate with somebody that doesn't, align with you necessarily. Like you spend so much time trying to clarify and explain yourself, and you spend so much time trying to really just get a understanding of the other person rather than actually having a conversation.
Right.
You go back and forth for an hour just so y'all can nail down definitions of what y'all trying to talk about.
Right.
It used to be that hard to communicate, but now there's so many new words, there's so many new concepts and definitions, and
we come to a place where we feel like, listen, like I said before, I like what I like. I'm a Dallas fan, you're an Eagles fan, and guess what? You be that Eagles fan, and I'm gonna just stay here. This is our first episode. I purposely wore this hat.
I wasn't gonna say nothing about it, but I mean, now that you brought it up,
yeah,
I do need some more toilet paper, so I'll take that. Take that home.
I purposely wore his hat, but no, I feel you, bro.
But the technology is crippling us, and I think that there is a concerted effort by certain powers that be. I don't know, it sounds a bit conspiratorial, but I think it serves the interests of a lot of people with power to conform all these different cultures and ideas to a single ideology, right? To a single way of thinking, right? And it's just pervasive, right? I've we both actually have traveled quite a bit. I've been all around the country, around the world, just vacations for work, whatever. And, one of the things I appreciate about traveling is being able to see different cultures, how different people think, how different people live, their experiences, their perceptions, right? But when you go somewhere that's far from your home and people are saying the same stuff as you, they listen to the same music, it's becoming harder and harder to get a genuine experience of a different culture. And on the one hand, it's good because it makes things a lot more convenient, right? Everybody takes Visa. So you can go more places. It becomes easier. You don't have to learn a new language like you might have had to 20 or 30 years ago, depending on where you're going. So there's conveniences that come with it, just like there's conveniences that come with technology. But I don't think enough people spend enough time thinking about what are we giving up, right? Think about all the unique experiences. And I just remember all the inside jokes black people used to have. That when you walk into a room with another black person, like y'all just knew, like y'all could say certain things or make certain jokes or reference things that nobody else was really privy to. And not that you don't want other people, but it's just there's a camaraderie in that.
Right.
But now it's just like this global.
There was an understanding.
Like everybody's
every man
on the
for
same wave.
Every man for themselves, but everybody's on the same wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and how hard is, and when you talk about artists, how hard is it to be creative in that kind of environment when everybody's got to do the same thing? Everybody's got to be in lockstep.
Right.
You know what I mean? I post a lot of music on my Instagram from PJ Morton. Right? He's a R&B artist from I think he's from Louisiana.
I was wondering who that was.
He ain't nobody that's really popping like that, but I like him because his style, right? And one of the songs I like in his lyrics, he's like, PJ, you're not mainstream enough. Right? Would you consider us changing some stuff? And I think it's called Claustrophobic. And the whole message behind the song is like, this is who I am, but in order for me to be successful, people keep telling me I need to conform and be different, be a little bit more street, fit the stereotype a little bit more. And you've always had those kind of artists, but I feel like that idea is just so overarching, and it's hard for people to really just be individual.
You know what? Like I said, I probably fell a victim to that before as well. It's the crazy part about it is, if anything is the definition of selling your soul, that would be, to be something that you aren't
for money,
to gain something that you want. You know what I mean? That's pretty deep. It's not just rappers or artists and things like that. This is us in general, man.
I don't care what you do. I was telling somebody the other day, I said they was having a conflict at work. And this ain't, I work in the blue collar industry.
Right.
And I said, it's no money. It's no amount of money you can pay me to disrespect me.
Right.
Like dignity is from the rip.
That's
like,
real.
You can pay me whatever you want. And it's like, people, and I hear all the time, people that will proudly admit to the different ways they would compromise their principles for money.
Right.
It's not even something
Never.
that people are abashed about anymore. It's
Never.
like, it's almost looked at as like a virtue. It's like, man, shoot, you smart.
You had to do what you had to do.
Exactly.
You got to get that bag, bro.
Like, and it's
no,
like,
because at the end of the day, you know, I'm the same way. And even when in terms of going to work, and I didn't talk. People done came out they lip crazy, bro. You know what I mean? Or they did some snake stuff, and then I gotta approach you because it's on my heart, heavy. You know, it's on my mind, and I'm not gonna let it go. And then when I spin that block, you know, everybody like, oh, why you do that? This, that, and the third. Because let me tell you something. Even if this door closed, God gonna open another one, man. I'm not worried about you people. I'm not worried about, and I got 4 kids. We still gonna eat.
But you can't do that if you don't have faith. If you think you're God, then you think that entire situation is in your control.
Yeah, I can't think that, bro. Because I ain't got the power. Only because at the end of the day, I done been in situations that I know I didn't bring myself out of. Even when the whole family in the crib looking at me like, yo, daddy's a superhero.
Facts.
No, my nigga.
If you only do the half.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's real.
No, but no, so that's definitely man, we touched
look,
on some good stuff. So
you wanna give that.
Yeah.
You want to give that ability, that access to your kids.
No, absolutely. I want them to be able to see. That's why I come to them humbly.
Tap into that.
Even when man, like, hey, dad, you know, I see what you're doing, dad. You know, you're a good dad. I appreciate you. I'll be like, oh yeah, thank you. You know what I mean? And he looking at me like, man, you ain't even eat that up. Like, you know.
Ability,
now inside, I'm like, yo, that's what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm still humble because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that you proud of, you know, I did do. And then a lot of things that you're proud of, you know,
had no control.
I had no control. This strength came from this came from, you know what I mean? Something outside of me. So
the Most High, and you know, that is kind of the point that I want to make, is that there are certain aspects of our lives, of our cultures, whatever they are, whether it's American culture, whether it's Black culture, whether it's music, right? The purity that used to be in there. There are certain principles that are worth holding on to so that we can give those to our kids, or even just to the next generation.
See, that's why it vanished. Oh, yo, it's something
exactly,
about
bro. That's what I'm saying.
That topic, though. No, this really got to be a book. We already talked about this before. We're getting T-shirts printed. You know,
love T-shirts.
As
long as it's not a cowboy
is doing the
shirt.
logo for Vanishing Culture. No, we definitely got to make that happen. You know what I mean? But this is why it's vanishing, because the morals stop being passed down. Right. That's deep.
But the thing is that you have to dig deep enough in yourself to figure out where your morals come from. And, you know, I think what I was alluding to earlier is that my journey back to faith wouldn't have started if I didn't realize that I didn't have the answers, bro. Like, you ain't got the answers.
Hold on, because we can keep it real. When you was on your journey and you was trying to figure it out, you know, and we grew up together, so we know each other, so we can, but we can keep it real. No, I ain't exposing you. No, I'm proud of it though, because at the end of the day, bro, your transition is just that ain't even you. Like, your transition is just really just this is for the people to see the God's hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. At the end of the day, you were at a point where you felt like, yo, I'm not making myself, you know, this ain't the way I want to do it is not even working. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
it's just like,
and we always run away. We run away and we come back home. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Well, depending on what you do when you're gone, because you might bring something back home with you that you can't get rid of.
Well, I mean, that's your personal, yeah.
But, you know, I think that everybody's journey is different. You know what I mean? And everybody's going to take something different. Me and you can have the same experience and take two totally different things from it.
Right.
But, you know, you have to get to a place in life where you recognize that you are not in control of everything. There's some things like you can control brushing your teeth when you get up in the morning.
Right.
But there's certain forces and powers in place that you really don't have control over. And then further to build on top of that is you don't necessarily know right from wrong. And if you do, it's because it's ideas that's been given to you.
That's correct. I seen something that said, we are what we know. We are what we know. How real is that? you only know how to fix that car because that's what you were taught, you know. So now you became a mechanic because you were taught how to fix that car. You know what I mean? I say it all the time. I tell my kids, I say, man, we gotta go harder, you know, because I could have made y'all geniuses. You know what I mean? If I'd have took the time out, you know, and they know what it takes to be a genius, they could have been a genius, you know, even at 9 and 10 years old, you know, we are what we know. A lot of people out here are lost and the culture is vanishing because they don't know.
Right. And what is even knowing, right? You have to get back to, I think you just, with anything, I'm a problem solver. That's how my brain works, right? I work in the engineering field. I deal with a lot of problem solving and like fixing things.
Right.
And with any situation, I feel like if you really want to solve it, you got to go to the root of the problem.
Right.
And you have to find the foundational truths in the universe. Now, if I wanted to find the foundational truths in life and in the universe, what other source could there be besides the creator of the universe? And I think what we would recognize if we held on to our culture or traced our culture, and not necessarily the expression of it, but the principles, right? I might express it differently than another person, but the principle is the same.
It's just still the same.
You know what I mean? If you trace a lot of those principles back to their origins, a lot of them are God-given principles.
Right.
Like the fact that every man innately feels to some degree that they should be a protector of their family. Right. It's not just that it's social. It might be socially reinforced, but the nature of a man is to be a protector in some respect.
Right.
And you can go to any civilization throughout all of history, and they have those. Even like whether it's Western, whether it's indigenous, they have some sort of system that represents that innate natural desire that men possess. You know what I mean? So that's evidence of a created nature that we all possess, and it expresses itself differently in different cultures. But the difference is the beauty of it, right? Like that's important, and I just think that more of us should consider, because there might be certain things that I know for certain. There's some certain things about Black culture that I think we should get rid of, right? But there are other things about Black culture or just culture in general. You might not be Black. You might be, you know, Arabian or Mexican or whatever. Like, there are certain things about that culture, you know, whether it's the food, the music. Like one of my favorite things that used to happen when I was a kid, you walk in a poppy store and they playing the poppy music.
Yeah, that's love.
They're not playing Biggie.
That's love.
You don't know what they're saying, and it's like you experience their expression.
Bro, one time I went to a Puerto Rican barbershop, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, and they was in there. Bro, it was like BET jams. Like, no, it was like
Telemundo jams.
Yes, it was like, no, but like it was really their artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, but the videos was like how our videos be. Like, I thought it was so dope. Like, you know what I mean?
You remember I used to listen to Frankie J? Or what's his name?
Used to piss me off.
Baby Bash and sugar. That's stop playing, dog. That's a hit.
I know a lot of R&B songs because of you.
Yeah, I mean,
because you was that R&B boy.
Still that guy.
Yeah, I was trying to get the 50 Cent album. Mom was like, "Why would I buy you that when it's bullet holes in the cover?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right. Look, she said that to you right before she bought it.
Right. How about that though? Because I did have it. You know, I ended up getting it. But no, we touched on a lot of good stuff, bro, man. And I just wanted to be clear, which I already know you know. Even when I said that you had your own mindset and you stepped off a little bit from your original beliefs and thoughts, you know, like I said before, that was really just God's hand. That wasn't even you stepping off for you. That was him doing that for you so that another person can see, like, again, we run away, but we come back home.
And don't get it twisted. I'm not proud of it necessarily, but what I am proud of is
I am, because you came back putting me on more. You put me on stuff. You know what I mean? You get me straight.
Right. But like, just to show that, you know, it's all right to, I guess I'll say, like, explore and challenge ideas, right? Because a lot of the reason I think people get lost or caught up sometimes is that they don't have enough to combat, when they get new information, they don't have enough balance there, right? They go all in one way or the other, right? They either say, I'm never going to look at that no matter what, or they say, I'm only going to look at this, or I'm only going to pay attention to this. And then that's how you go to extremes, right? Because before the whole really the woke era, I like to call it.
Fake woke.
It's fake. Well, it is fake woke, but we know it's fake woke now, right? Before it was just like it's like a rise in consciousness, so to speak. Like everybody was just kind of aware of their roots. Like
we all did that at the same time. How about that? Why?
Coincidence, right? It wasn't planned, but it's that's what I'm saying. It's powers that be. It's forces that's kind of encouraging, certain ideas and diminishing certain other ideas. And I just think that more people should really consider what we could be losing out on, what we could be giving up before we're certain. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, research and you shouldn't, want to know certain things, but it's like when you pull a me, right, and you just uproot everything based on some new information without vetting properly or just doing your due diligence or just being patient, you can make some mistakes.
People don't want to feel lied to either, though. That's what you need more. You just need more people that actually have a different understanding, and that pretty much helps the culture. I feel like we running out of time. Didn't get into politics.
We didn't get into politics, but we're not gonna get through politics in 5 minutes. So what I'm gonna say is that there is a lot of I would say like groupthink.
Right.
I would say there is a lot of I will say this. There are a lot of people going along to get along and co-signing things that they don't believe in, co-signing things that violate their conscience.
Now, somebody would say, how do you know that they don't believe in that?
Well, because they'll tell me that they don't. Or even if it's not verbally, people say little things or might give little tidbits to express themselves, because everybody expresses themselves in a different way.
Right.
But I think it's a lot of people that are not being 100%. I think it's a lot of people that are, afraid to express certain opinions about certain things. And, a lot of, whether it's social issues, whether it's religion, whether it's like, I know a lot of Christians that's just scared to say like basic Christian stuff, like just basic regular Christian stuff, and you're just like, well, like what do you mean? Well,
it's like bro, it's okay.
Like, and I mean, it's just like, this old saying, you stand for something or fall for anything. But there's a lot of, and I feel like that does play out politically, just because of how politics has shifted so much, and it's now pop culture.
Right.
Like politics didn't used to be pop culture. Politics was something that, like, you used to have to ask people, are you into politics? Right. That used to be a conversation starter.
But I
now
think
it's pop culture. Like,
it's not taking it serious though. That's what it. I
don't think it's meant to, and I think that's the problem. Is they deal in sensationalism.
Okay.
Right. It's not necessarily about informing people or presenting an issue and trying to figure out, like, letting people decide for themselves what's what. It's more so sensationalism, for better or for worse.
Okay.
They want to present something to you and want you to feel really good about it, or they want to present it to you and want you to feel really bad about it. It's not so much reporting this or that. It's giving you an idea and giving you the expectation about how you should feel about it. And it wasn't always like that. Right. You know what I mean? There's some things that happened that I could go into, but the point is that it's changing, and I think that people should recognize that, and we should be more woke, more conscious about it, right? More conscious about who's doing what, the information that we taking in, and how we protect ourselves, and think about the things that we could be giving up if we don't.
No, I agree. All right, man. This is our first podcast, man. Brothers Keep It podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you guys for listening. Whoever is listening, we know we got a couple people that we wanted to make sure we said thank you to for tuning in. But we just getting started, man. It's a lot of other things that we want to cover. It's a lot of other things that we feel passionate about.
Right.
And we just kind of want to open up the the dialogue a little bit about things that we, like I said, we talk about this stuff anyway. So to just open it up for others to be able to chime in. So, wherever this is posted, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, guys, feel free to give us feedback, comment, whatever you want to do. Send us an email. And, we'll try to even engage with you guys on the show if we can read some of the stuff y'all send in or cover certain topics that y'all feel like are interesting. But we definitely have our own thing that we want to put out there. But it's a community thing because it's Brother's Keeper. So this is my brother, but everybody listening, y'all are brothers and sisters too. And we definitely want to make sure that we're in a community thing together. So that's what it is.
Let's get it.